Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Zyori Podcast. This is podcast number 110. It is beautiful August 1st, 2017, 9 a.m. here, Mountain Time. I almost did it again there, Trent. It's the
Almost.
1, it's the 8. Which way was it? It's definitely not January. No, it is not, Sir T.I. It's on the horizon. Dude, the group stage starts tomorrow, right? I'm not fucking crazy. It starts tomorrow. No. That is absolutely insane. We start heading up to TI like 4 or 5 days from now for our week-long stay. This is like the time of year that we get excited for. As soon as it's over, you go into a deep, dark depression because all of your friends are gone. You know, you won't have memories this big and bold for another whole year. Let's be real. And it's high stakes, buddy. This is exciting. I think PPD's tweet summed it up about accurately. This is a life-changing experience. Don't fucking take it for granted, dude. This is a big deal. You know, this is somebody's life is going to change at the end of this. Even if you think about a team that's already won. If it was possible for a team to win twice, if there was somehow someone out there that you felt like, this event's not that big of a deal for. Imagine winning 2 TIs. Jesus fucking Christ. That's
this
madness.
be the year. I think most people thought it was going to be OG last year, and then now they're still together. It feels like even though that team hasn't won 1 TI, they could have been like the squad to do it twice. Like I feel like they obviously underperformed last year, and they're just like still that same mostly.
Well, it's the major
together,
runs.
But...
You know, they've won so many majors that you feel like they haven't won a TI, really. I feel like I've seen them win a lot of big things with big trophies. It's like, yeah, they have, just not the big one, not the big kahuna.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think that's the team I'm most excited to see just because of, like, they haven't been up to too much lately. You know, had a little bit of a downturn coming out of that last major. Obviously, things, you know, that's all about the fire and the passion and that kind of stuff. I think they've kind of talked about that, and getting that big desire to keep competing can be a little difficult when you're owning the majors. But if there's anything that's going to do it, she be TI.
I believe it. I believe it, man. So I guess we should talk about TI predictions somewhere, some way in this podcast. But there's a lot of other things happening in the space that I think we can talk about today, Trent, to at least get us started. But first, I want to hear about your vacation, man. You were up there with the Newfies, right? You were over in Newfoundland. You were unplugged. We were just talking about it in our little pre-show. You were off the grid for like a week. I can't believe it. It's really crazy. That's madness.
It really, yeah. Let me see if I can find out here. So I left on Trent away in Newfoundland, started the 21st. Holy shit, I was gone a long time. Good God. Was it really that long? That's crazy.
Yeah, dude.
I left Friday. Yeah, I did too.
It's weird because I talk to you on a regular basis, and I feel like I've just been quiet. I've been absent. I have like 3 friends. A third of my friends have been gone. It's terrible.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Wow, Jesus. It was 10 days? Really? It felt pretty long, not gonna lie. But in a good way. Like I was gone. I was like, every once in a while I check Twitter because sometimes I'd have mobile data because I have it here and I was only up in Newfoundland, so it's not like I'm roaming or something in the States. So
it's just shitty
sometimes
service.
I get service. Yeah, the service was bad. Like we didn't have service in my campground or anything like that. And
is it because of mountains or like why is it? Is it just too sparse of a population?
It's so rural. Yeah, like I was on the western half of Newfoundland, so basically, like most of Canada, there are giant barren open spaces. Yeah, and when it comes to Newfoundland and Labrador, which is the full name of the province, Labrador is just fucking empty.
It's all snow.
Like, yeah, it's just, well, as the Vikings called it, Markland. It is the land of trees.
I'm pretty sure I saw Bear Grylls eat a pig eye in Labrador. I'm pretty sure that was on Discovery Channel when I was a kid. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Man versus Wild. That's how I know Labrador. He went and survived in the Arctic. There, he almost fell in a glacier. He says glacier like glacier.
Glacier. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's basically up attached to Quebec.
Yeah,
it's pretty nothing.
All right. But, so what do you do? Is this hiking?
So in terms of what, it's Canada's 150th birthday, guys. I don't know if you know, 1867 to 2017. So there's a big celebration going on this whole year. There's all kinds of events all year. There was a giant Canada Day thing in Ottawa, and part of it, Parks Canada. Which runs all the national parks across Canada, of course. There are no entry fees to any of the parks, as well as there are like discounted pricing on like camping and stuff. So
dude, that's a good deal.
Yes, it is excellent. And so everyone gets you could basically apply for it, or if you just go to National Park, you can get it. Everyone has like one of those little things that hangs from your rearview mirror. Yeah. These little green Parks Canada things, and everybody has them. So it's pretty funny because everyone just drives around with these stupid things on their cars, and they're all like, "Oh yeah, we're going to the park." But so yeah. We went to Cape Breton, which is northern Nova Scotia. If you guys don't know, basically there's an island at the top of Nova Scotia that makes up like roughly a quarter-ish, a third-ish, somewhere in between.
Is it Prince
Nova
Edward
Scotia's
Island?
Total landmass. No, it's Cape Breton Island.
Oh.
Prince Edward Island is a separate province, but good try.
Bummer.
Yeah. So when you
I derailed it.
what is happening? Audio about that. We're good. So anyway, when you go to Cape Breton Island, we went there. We did some like camping sites and stuff. We went to Fortress of Louisbourg. So basically, if you guys don't know, Canada was battled up by the French and the English. Okay, so it was pretty crazy, man. We went to this like they recreated this fort in like the 1960s. I want to say they like rebuilt a French fort because some dude just was really into it. Basically, there was like one dude who convinced Parks Can, like, dude, you should do it, guys. This fort was crazy. Because after the English took it, they of course just burned it down. Actually, what was really savage was the dude, they took the fort and then he unhooked all the cannons and shot them into the town inside the fort.
Really?
Yeah, so like anyone who was still in there got totally fucked.
Yeah.
And they destroyed everything.
Yeah, that's no good.
No good. So yeah, that was really cool. There's like all these people that are just like showing you what life was like there. Spoiler alert, it was shitty.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this was just like an authentic, historic Canadian experience. You guys got in touch with your shitty roots.
And the coolest part, in terms of the historical stuff, was we went to Lonso Meadows, which is, if anyone here is Canadian, I am sure you will remember, there was this ad that played all the time as a child, where there's this like little redheaded girl who's clearly supposed to look like, Scottish or Irish or something, or, some Scandinavian-ish area descent, but she mostly looks like Scottish, which doesn't really make sense for being Vikings. But anyway, and she's like peeking around these little grass hills and running around, and there's like just these grassy little like structures of where the Vikings were, and there's these weird howling things. It was a stupid commercial, but anyway, that same commercial still plays on Air Canada when I fly. And literally, I've seen that commercial since I was like, I don't even know, 8 years old. I don't know why. But the whole idea is that Lonso Meadows was the first confirmed, earliest known Viking European settlement in North America. So basically,
that's pretty cool.
It's crazy. Because Eric the Red, if I'm getting this right, sorry if I'm going to blow this.
I thought his name was Leaf.
No, that's his son.
Oh.
So Eric the Red was first, I believe, expelled from either Scandinavia or Iceland. I can't remember. And then he started migrating more west and setting up outposts in Iceland and Greenland. And by the way, he was exiled for 3 murders. Just 3 murders.
Only 3. I mean,
but indeed, it was his son Leif Erikson who made the sail over, and he found Labrador, which is called Markland, and they sailed a little further down and stuff, and then they made that settlement there at Lonso Meadows. And essentially, where Lonso Meadows is, I'm gonna do a visual. I'm gonna use this piece of paper here. So if this is Lonso Meadows right here, guys. There's basically a big bay all over here, kind of deal, all around Canada and stuff, and they essentially use that as like a chill point. And then he would send excursions into the bays and the rest of Canada. That's what they called Vinland, which they also know as what you can guess like Vinland, wineland, because there were like grapes and shit. And then he'd send all these scouting parties in to get shit for him to bring back to him. And there was basically like a tiered pyramid system where the richer guys were making some money from these dudes heading in and collecting resources. They'd all chill at Lonso Meadows, and then they'd ship everything back to Scandinavia. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty smart.
Yeah.
But they only stayed there for like a decade, but it was super cool. They have like a recreated Viking village. There was this dude who was telling Norse sagas about crazy Vikings and their insane stories. And
cool.
And yeah, so I highly recommend you guys for your historical segment.
Well, keep that in mind, man. Wow, that was educational, Trent. That was great. Our viewer count just kept going up. I'm surprised. They seemed to like it. They really they learned a lot. I nodded off a little bit. I won't lie.
It's okay. It's all right, buddy.
See, Kelsey would have appreciated that. I think she was a history major or something on the like.
Yes, I believe she is.
So she
was.
Yeah, she likes things like that. I don't mind. I'm more of the mindset of, like you said, look, it was shitty. Yes.
It was really shitty. Like super shitty. But it was it was an amazing place.
I get it.
Highly recommend.
It is cool though. That's neat. It's a good getaway.
Have you been hiking? I know Kelsey talked a lot
about
hiking.
Have I been hiking
when I was there?
Only a little. Not very much. Didn't we talked about this last time, right? How things were super gummed up on the trails with all the tourists and stuff. We have not tried since then. We've given up hiking until the off season. So we're going to become like October hikers. That's basically the plan.
I did a lot of hiking.
Okay.
We hiked a lot.
Are you sore?
Well, I'm not sore from the hiking. Actually, we did Gross Moor, just giant mountain in Newfoundland. It's like the second highest peak in Newfoundland. It is a 16-kilometer hike. And it said 6 to 8 hours. So we were expecting to take like 7 hours or so. I don't know what happened, but we just got so in the mood to just like roast everybody on the trail that we finished this hike in 4 hours. And it's like an 800-meter elevation when you get to the top, and you have to scrabble up this like gully from the glaciers, and it's literally just rocks. You're not walking on ground. You're walking on shale rocks that they're not like, if you picture like gravel on a playground, it's the same kind of idea where it's all just lying on top of each other, but the rocks are all like anywhere from this big to like boulders, and it was crazy. There was rocks flying everywhere. It seems super dangerous. And you see all these people on the trail, and you're just like, I don't think you're the reason the sign says 8 hours, I think.
Yeah.
Because there were some people that weren't going to be down for like 10 hours. It was insane.
Dude, ArcYes is cracking me up. Canada has 200 years of history, and about 90% is about turkeys.
Well, I don't know.
Yep. I've only been to Canada once, man. I've only been to Montreal. We are coming to Nova Scotia, though, dude. We need to book those tickets, but I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to come in October, and it's going to be pretty fun.
Beautiful in October. I got married in October for that very reason.
Oh, did you? You know, my birthday's in October. Maybe I should come spend my birthday with you, Trent.
Clearly. You know,
16th, baby.
I realized I have a guest bedroom, but it only has like a single bed in it, so I'll have to upgrade your situation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just for me, huh?
Yeah.
Man, that's
so nice
stuff. Wow. Well, Trent,
is it time that we talk about the Doter?
Jesus Christ. Yeah, let's talk about Bulldog a little bit. So, this was the drama that I woke up to this morning that I was referencing about Twitter and whatnot. The TLDR is Bulldog had his visa denied. He showed up, you know, you get on the plane, you come to America, you go through the little gate, they look at your passport, they say, "Hey there, son, what are you coming to America for?" And then you tell them. And they said, "Well, that's a little weird. You're going to have to come over here. We need to ask you a few more questions." And TLDR is that Bulldog got denied entry. So they booked him a flight straight back. You know, people often ask that question, what happens if your visa gets denied? You fucking sit there like an asshole. They book you the first flight going out, and you leave.
You're done.
And that's it. And it's a shitty flight because it's the first one that they can book that has an open seat, and they don't care about your comfort or anything else. When I first saw the initial tweet starting this whole thing, this started, I guess, a couple days ago. I think now he's traveling, or he's stuck in Amsterdam waiting to get back to Gothenburg, or maybe he's finally home now. But this all started a couple days ago. I thought it was a joke. I thought that was Bulldog humor, you know, like, oh, my visa got denied. Nobody from Sweden gets fucking denied coming into America. That shit's unheard of. So it sounded kind of like a Bulldog joke. It turns out this whole thing is fucking true, unless this is some serious, epic late game troll type deal. But I don't think that is the case. I think that's too fucked up. You know, that's not even funny. It's just like, at this point, it's pretty much,
it's really sad.
Real. It's very real and very sad because he was going to be talented at TI. He was going to do some cool behind the scenes stuff, it sounded like. And obviously his stream is quite popular, and a lot of folks are looking forward to that kind of content. If you've watched his Bulldog IRL stuff at all, I think it definitely fits a fun vibe in terms of TI content, interacting with fans and, you know, fucking around with stuff outside of the venue. So that side of it is a big bummer. But of course, this leads to a greater conversation of why. How did this happen? And whose fault is it, right? Who's really at fault here to prevent this from happening again? That's what everyone's really looking for. And it's probably a combination of things.
It was
right?
also, I mean, I want to say kind of it was not if, but when. And he kind of took the bat for everyone. Right?
Yeah,
it is, though.
I didn't really think of it that way, but that's...
Everyone knew.
Yeah.
Like, I heard about this before. Well, I mean, I guess it's not as well known as I thought it was, because clearly there's a lot of confused people in the tweets and stuff. And like on all the threads on Reddit, which, by the way, are some of the funniest threads I've ever seen in my life. But it's just like, I don't know. I thought it was more of I guess it can't be a well-known thing because obviously it's illegal and stuff, but there are serious issues with going to the U.S. and doing stuff like this, and you must use your words very carefully.
Yeah, and it's very complicated is kind of what it comes down to, and that's why this whole thing is a mess. Beef had a really succinct tweet earlier. I think I retweeted it. where he said like this whole thing is a problem because the visa laws are a little bit behind the modern age, and it's also just really fucking complicated. So they're already
super
hard
behind.
And then there are all of these different things, and all these regulations are different. And when people try to compare Riot to Dota, it's like, well, hold on a second there. Don't forget that everybody in LCS is paid a salary by Riot. So they're on the payroll. That changes the equation completely. You know, that's a different kind of work visa than if Valve is quote unquote hiring these teams as contractors. They're not contractors. That's the whole thing. And it's also different for players versus talent, right? Players can qualify as athletes. It's a totally different visa. Work visas versus a tourist visa for somebody coming over as talent are also completely different, you know?
It's so complicated too. Like I can't, like when I say I'm coming down there, I say I'm on business, but it's just meetings. Like, because that's what I'm doing. I'm not actively receiving any compensation while I'm there. I am not working, but like, there's no. Everyone thinks that like, oh well, clearly he just has a wrong visa, but it's not that easy. Like, there's not really just this like super one you can get and be like, okay, I'm going for these many days and.
It sort of can be, but the precedent in esports is really wild west. I've had multiple legs in this race, right? As talent, especially as amateur talent, you have no fucking clue, right? You're sitting at home. They say, hey, you want to go to DreamHack there, kid? It's an American company renting space in Sweden. My first event, hired by S2 to do Heroes of New Earth, DreamHack Summer 2012, right? This is a good first example, right? We're gonna build this whole we're gonna build this whole conversation up in steps.
Let me lean back in my coffee here
and
listen to you become a man.
This is gonna be wordy. So okay,
no, this
anyway,
is good. Let's go.
So way back 2012, okay. My first LAN event ever.
Wait, hold on. Whoa, hold on. We need to find top 10 songs 2012. We need to get in the mood here. Payphone by Maroon 5. Oh, Starships by Nicki Minaj. Gangnam Style. Okay, so we're back in Gangnam Style. Call Me Maybe.
Yes.
Putting you guys in the zone.
It was a good year.
Right.
It was a good year.
This was a good year. All right.
So
all right, carry on.
You know, I'm casting with Breaky CPK. It's a pretty big event, but S2 is an American company. So they just say, hey, man, you want to go to DreamHack? I say, yeah, sure. And they say, okay, the pay is whatever, $200 a day. It's a 4-figure gig, $1,200, $1,400, something like that. No big deal. You go to Sweden, you come back. Now, when you really think about it, where should that tax money go? Okay, most accountants will say it has to do with where you actually are to deliver that work. So esports is this weird thing because a lot of the work we do is virtual. For a LAN tournament such as that, you do a lot of the coverage remotely for the qualifiers to get there. In fact, 90% of the tournament or something is going to be online on American soil from your home studio. But when you go to that other country and you make that money from working that big event there, in theory, Sweden should probably get a little tax money for that or something, right? And the way that works is most countries have tax treaties, and you can look it up, and it's different for every country and every situation. And America has a ton of them. And with a lot of those countries, it's like 15 or 10%, and you get to write off that difference towards your taxes. So that way you don't get double taxed. There are actual forms to say, hey, man, there's a way to handle this. Now, given that I was still like kind of in college, right? Didn't know shit about contracting or anything. Does anybody tell you that? Do you even think twice about visas or what you're doing over there? Fuck no.
Your head is just like, oh my God, someone's paying me for video games. I'm going to DreamHack.
Yeah. So technically, I mean, it's not a Swedish company hiring me. So it's sort of a weird one where like, do you technically need a work visa for that? Or do you not? And the nature of the situation is that Americans and Europeans can just fly back and forth, and you don't really have to disclose what you're doing. You have to say if it's for pleasure or for work, but nobody really checks on it. If you say it's for play, you know, it's all a big gray area for the most part. Yeah. If you're sort of just doing quote-unquote work, if I'm flying over to take pictures and I might sell those pictures to someone online, that's not really work. It's for pleasure, but you might be able to make some money off of it. Work is more defined by, are you hired for a job? You know, are you paying tax? It's really more for collecting taxes than anything else. That is one of the big reasons. It's for tracking people.
It all comes back to that.
But taxes are the big thing, and that's why they want to know if you're doing work there, and if you're doing work there, they want to make sure you're paying taxes on work done in their country because you're not a citizen. I'm not in the Swedish system. They don't know who the fuck I am. So the visa is a way to keep track of who I am and sort of have a record of my comings and goings, and if it correlates with, you know, business or big bank transactions. They're really looking for big sums of money. They don't really care about a $1,200 talent fee that I'm getting from some gaming event. In theory, they do, but on the grand scheme of things, no. So all of this is just to paint the picture of how you get from point A to point B and then point B to point C. You know, things evolve slowly over time. You look at it now and go, how did Valve just not get him the proper work visa? It's like, well, in retrospect, maybe that was the play. But things
also,
sort of, yeah. That, you know.
When do talent invites come out? Like, our current system does not work with visas. Like, there's no way. I mean, if you want to get a real visa, I don't think you can get it in time for TI. They come out so close.
Yeah, probably not.
Like, I would guess probably closer than a lot of you. I don't know. How many weeks ago do you think we finally heard, like, all right, you're not coming, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you've heard enough from enough people to say, all right, they've finished it out. I would say, what, a month ago?
Yeah. No, it's late before it's official. But all of this shit is wild, wild west. Okay, so that shit, that's how it was in 2012. Oh, God, we got another sub. Thank you, Mr. Snorlax, ADHD.
Oh, do you have the noise thing going?
Yeah, I don't know how to fucking turn it off. Mott has this thing rigged up like a dolphin's ass. It's watertight, and I can't get it open, dude. Terrible.
3 weeks ago, I double-checked.
I didn't realize this, but things like the summits, right? I have no idea what Beyond the Summit does now, but the only ones that I can speak to are like Summit 1, Summit 2, where I was part of that decision-making, right? We had no fucking clue. You just fly people over, you book a hotel, you run the tournament, you fly them home. After they leave, you wire them some money, and that's fucking it. That's it. That's all you do. Nobody fucking says anything. There's no deal with visas. Everybody that wants to come gets a tourist visa, and everybody smiles and nods. We broadcast it to hundreds of thousands of people. We share it all over social media. We don't even really pretend to keep it a secret, and nobody really cares. So everybody just keeps doing the same old thing because it's relatively small fish. The money's going offshore. I mean, we're still talking about, you know, 5 figures. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge amount. And that's it. When you bring international people over and you're paying them to be here, if they come for 5 days, they work all 5 days, and you pay them $500 a day, you can make a pretty strong case that those people should be paying American taxes for doing work on American soil. You know what I mean? And it's the same kind of deal with U.S. going to Europe and Europe coming to U.S., that there's a lot of gray area in what constitutes work, especially when it comes to video games. You know, if you work for Gosu Gamers and they send you to TI to do journalism stuff, but they don't pay you a bonus or anything, you know, they pay you a little salary once a month, and you're just attending. They pay for your trip. Do you need a work visa for that? No, probably not. If Gosu Gamers was an American company, would you need a work visa for that? I don't fucking know. You probably need to talk to a visa lawyer. That's why this shit is complicated. And to answer these questions, you need to hire people or consultants that are fucking smart and have a whole lot of money. And one of the things my accountants explained to me is this idea of undue burden, right? There's a certain cutoff, so to speak, where as a company, you can only afford to do so much due diligence before you don't have enough money to run your company anymore. If to do all of this stuff properly and do all the paperwork and figure out exactly what needs to be done in esports, let's say that costs you $15,000 in lawyer fees and accounting fees or whatever else. If that $15 prevents you from doing the summit in the first place, then fuck, what are we really doing here? You know, so there's a sort of a point of, did you do as much as you could given the financial constraints of the situation? And I would say yes. Right? We did. We tried our hardest. We looked at what other places were doing in the space, and we kind of mimicked their behavior. And that's it. So if BTS had gotten audited at that point, we could have made a pretty good case that, hey, you know what? We tried as hard as we could. This is why we did it this way. Sorry, we fucked up. Tell us how to do it, because we really want to know. Where do we fall in this gray area in terms of visas and how we're supposed to withhold taxes and all this?
That's the hardest part of all this visa stuff. It's like when you're trying to find an answer, it feels impossible.
Yeah.
You go on like a billion different places and like government websites, and every time, I don't know about you, but whenever I try and find something about this for some random country, I always get to an official government website, and then there'll be a link, and you click it, and it's like, this page does not exist, or this page is down. I was like, how does this not exist? I'm trying to find the tax law from Canada to US. That was the first time I do my taxes. Holy fucking shit. Yeah. It was awful. I hate it. I mean, I'm all good now, and I do it right and everything, but I had a lot of trouble trying to find all the right info and how much am I supposed to pay.
Like, I mean, I do it right to the best of my ability, right? I do it right as far as I can define. Right now, Moonduck is represented by the biggest accounting firm that is exclusive to Colorado. So there are bigger firms in Colorado that are nationwide chains, but for one that only has buildings in the state of Colorado, it's the biggest one. So it's pretty fucking serious, right? They represent some very, very wealthy people in the state. So they have a pretty good idea of what's going on. They have specialists for international, for local, for all these different things. And we've had consultations with various members of the accounting firm, and pretty much all of them have said, yeah, these are really hard questions, and you're going to have to pay more money than you want to really get the right answer here. And when that's the answer, it's like, okay, so we're not that far off track. We're just kind of using good judgment as best we can, you know, and following their advice. It helps just having someone to talk to that's plugged into the space. But when even they're telling you, yeah, man, this is pretty complicated. I mean, I can give you
around too. Like, geez.
I can give you the best, like, cover your ass advice. You know, you can always withhold 50% of the money you pay out to international people, or I guess 30%, whatever it is, pay that in taxes. And then it's on those foreign contractors to file a form in America to get the percentage back that their tax treaty, you know, gives them. But that's a real pain in the ass. And that becomes a big problem. Let's say you're flying a Russian team into America to play a tournament for 5 days. They win $50,000 and then they fly back home. In theory, you should probably withhold for that, right? That's a little hard to communicate. And when language barrier can become an issue, and that's not standard practice, if 80% of the tournaments in the space don't withhold that 30% for taxes, and you say you do, and then they blast you on social media for stealing 30% of their money because they don't understand how the tax forms work. Legally, it's on them, but PR-wise, it's on you. And that's part of what falls into the undue burden. If you can make a case that, well, dude, everyone else in the space is doing it. It's hard for us to be we're going to do it right, so we're going to give all the tax. Like, that's fucked, right? It's I don't know how to articulate this properly, but it's fucked is the TLDR that I'm coming to.
But when you talk about the whole idea of the undue burden and stuff, that kind of feels like what Bulldog did. You know what I mean? Where like it feels like he just was honest and he said what he was doing, and he got screwed because of it.
So one of the things I said earlier on Twitter that got some blowback was I said, never say you're working an event, say you're attending an electronics event or an electronics convention or something like that. And, you know, a lot of people said, well, dude, you don't want to lie. You don't want to get caught lying for the reason you're coming into the country, because then they'll ban you. They could potentially ban you for life or never give you a visa. And that's fucked. Like, it's not worth the risk. And in general, I would say yes. You don't want to overtly lie, but what I'm saying is you want to frame it in such a way that it doesn't trigger their warnings, right? They have certain key words, certain phrases that it's like going up. If you say bomb, that's a fucking trigger. You know, they know to pull you aside. If you say, I'm working, insert something mysterious I don't understand, the standard procedure is pull them aside and we'll figure it out and ask him more questions, and then we'll handle it that way, right? I've been stopped before. When I came back from that very DreamHack event in Sweden, it was in the Detroit airport, and I said to the guy, he was like, why were you in Sweden? I said, I was working an event, we were doing some casting. He was like, casting? What do you mean? Like, you were casting actors for a play or something? And I was just like, no, sorry, I meant like broadcasting. It was a video game tournament, and I was doing the broadcasting. And he was just like, oh, that's interesting. You're going to need to go over there. And they searched my bag, and I was held up for like 2 hours. I had that fucking Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter book in there, and the guy was giving me a real hard time about it. And it was a big...
Oh, God.
It was like a real thing.
2012 embarrassment right there, dude.
Yeah, so...
Nicely done.
So, but
wow.
It's all about how you say it. Right? If you say something that sounds weird that they don't understand, or overtly are just like, I was a commentator for video games. You like I'm John Madden for video games. I'm like, all right, this guy's fucking out of his mind. I don't know what's going on here, but we need to search his shit. But if you just come in and say, yeah, no, there was a big electronics convention. I was here and I was attending that. That's not a lie, right? You're here attending TI. There are a fuckload of electronics, and it kind of qualifies as a convention. You know, you could just call it an electronics event. It's not an overt lie. It just doesn't really paint the exact... You don't need to give them more details than they ask for.
Doesn't trip the wires.
That's what I'm saying. It's like when you go into court and the lawyer preps you, they always say, don't tell them more information than they need to know. And then when they say, okay, let's try a few, and then they'll ask you a few questions, and the curveball one is always, what time is it? And the answer says, sir, I'm not sure. There's a clock over there. You don't have to say what time it is. Don't give them more information than they need. You know, let them figure out what time it is. Just say, no, I'm just here to attend this event. And most of the time they'll be like, okay, yeah, whatever, stamp, you're in. You didn't lie about anything. You're here to attend the event. And if they question you more, you give them more information. You don't start off the conversation with, hello, I'm Admiral Bulldog on Twitter. I am going to be working the international. I'm going to be doing behind-the-scenes footage. And I'm not saying he said that, but it sounds like he was very forward about, you don't need, it's a Swedish thing. It's a cultural difference. They're very forward and honest about stuff. In America, you got to fly under the radar, all right? You got to. This is the Trump administration. It's all about minimizing information wherever possible. Don't give them your Twitter handle if you don't have to. Just don't give them that to look at. Don't let them find a meme of you dressed up like Hitler that some retard on the internet made. Don't give them that option because they might misinterpret. That's all I'm saying. I'm not condoning lying. I don't think that's a good idea. I'm just saying be tactful with your words and if you were them, what would make them raise an eyebrow? And don't say that thing if you can avoid it. That's what I'm getting at. That is Zyori's advice to getting into the country.
Thank you.
Is that fucked? Did I just incriminate myself, Trent? Is that bad?
I don't know. Probably. I'm sure everyone has at some point by Twitter today.
Well, I mean, for real though, it's Wild West is a good word for it. I mean, look at China, right? It's nobody gets a work visa to go to China as English speaking talent. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. I don't know a single person that has been to China working as English-speaking broadcasting talent that has gotten an actual work visa. Always a tourist visa. I know one guy. The camera guys. The camera guys, when I went to DAC, they had actual work visas because they had commercial-grade camera equipment and they had to get work visas.
All right.
And that's the one time I've heard of it. I'm sure a few casters have before, but from what I've seen, it is mostly tourist visas. And guess what? It's not that big of a deal. Nobody fucking says anything. That's it. So it's one of these weird kind of deals where when it becomes a problem, everybody says, well, why the fuck were you doing this in the first place? Why didn't you just get a work visa? And you have to look at it from the other side where you think, well, why would you want to be the one guy that's it's hard to explain. That makes it sound like you don't want to do it straight, but everyone recommends you get a tourist visa. Every time I have gone to China or talked to orgs about sending people to China, they say, you want to get a tourist visa. Trust me, this is the best way to do it. I don't know what to say to that. At what point do you say, sorry, dude, you're wrong. Give me the paperwork to do a work visa. It's like, how do you tell people that supposedly know better than you? That's why this kind of stuff gets tricky. And I can't really speak to exactly what Valve does or why they handle things the way that they do.
Nor do we want to.
Nor do I want to, but I just don't know. I mean, Valve, it's weird because I'm talking about, from my experience, mostly with orgs that don't have resources to figure this shit out. That's not the case for Valve. You can't say Valve doesn't have the resources to actually get the good answers to these questions. They could hire any accounting firm they want. They could hire any legal firm they want to actually figure out the proper way to do this bullshit. So from that perspective, I have no idea. I'm sure there's a reason why they do things the way that they do, but I really don't know. Hopefully they're helping out Bulldog. I don't know. It sucks that he's just fucked now and that's it. It's just over. I don't know.
At least they didn't give him the yearly denial or whatever. We can give him 5 to however many years of don't come back because they took his visa and shit.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. That's why I don't condone lying. You don't say oh, I'm just visiting my friend. No, don't say that shit. Say you're attending an event, and then if they want to ask you more questions, be honest. Don't actually lie about it. Just don't reveal your entire hand up front. That's all I'm saying. You want to be in that Bulldog situation if they do think you're up to something. You're like, listen, man, this is all I know. Just play dumb. Say you tried as hard as you could. This is what people told you. You did everything you knew, and that's it. And usually, they're not trying to fuck normal people that are just, trying to go about their business. So I'm not surprised that they didn't ban him for a year, which is really good news. But still, it's scary, dude. It's serious shit. It's real serious shit. I have definitely encountered people that are way more loose with that shit than it sounds like Bulldog is. That come and they stay, if you're in Australia or Europe or any of these other countries where I guess it's ESTA, you can stay for up to 6 months at a time if you're not working. I know a lot of people that just come, they stay for 5 months, work the entire time, fuck off for 2 months, come for another 5, work the entire time, fuck off for 2 months, and they've been doing it for years, and they're just like, it's no big deal, they're never going to catch me, and I fucking, Jesus, dude, that's way more risk than I'm willing to undertake. I will not name names, but there are a few people I have encountered that really have no qualms rolling the dice with that shit. Again, I've said it a few times, but Trent, Will Smith style. Wild, Wild West, baby.
Hope for the best. Cross your fingers. Don't get bulldogged. pretty much that. But I guess he's the only one, right? Oh, Chappie. Well, that's a different situation apparently, but I don't have the full deets on that one.
What's the deal with Chappie?
So something happened with Chappie. I've heard a couple different stories. I don't know what the truth is, but one story interprets it as their fault. Another interprets it as the embassy's fault, or whoever was supposed to send him. I think they publicly said that his passport wasn't sent back, and then I also heard that he might have lost the first visa. So, typical middle ground, something in between. Lost his passport. That's what it was. We'll see. I don't know. One of the two things happened. Someone screwed up.
Well, I mean, it could be a
the only one
combination,
not there,
right?
So if Chappie doesn't make it, Rezo's going to play for them.
Really?
Until Chappie gets there.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Good for resolution.
Well,
but
I guess I would say that's awesome, but really unfortunate for Chappie. That really blows.
Yeah, that is not good. Especially because I don't know,
dude. I've always wondered though, like, so when I applied for my first Chinese visa, well, I've only had one. My Chinese visa, it was in LA. It's jam packed. There are so many people there. You have to wait hours to get up to the booth. When I picked up my visa, I saw the boxes of passports with the approved visas, and there were thousands of them. And I just kept thinking, like, how good is their indexing system? What happens if they just lose my passport? What happens if this lady comes to the window and just goes, I don't know where it is. We don't have it. Come back next week, even though my flight's tomorrow. What do you do in that situation? And it seemed like, obviously they didn't lose my passport. It seemed like a pretty orderly operation. But what happens in that scenario where if the embassy fucks you or they mail it back and it gets lost in the mail? Something really ridiculous like that you can't count on being a regularity, but fuck, man. That sucks.
Yeah. Sure, Rezo's like half trying out for a new team now at this point. This will be the shuffle be coming. Planet Odd, obviously with just being dropped and whatnot, pretty strong hints towards maybe not sticking as 5, I would say.
Yeah.
At least to me, that's what it says. I don't have any insider knowledge or anything. I'm just saying looks like a guy who is going to be on the hunt for a team and probably one of the biggest free agents in terms of like forming a new thing, right? The guy's like 20
100%.
years old, slays it.
Yeah.
So
resume.
Get your hands
20
on
years
Rezo.
old. I'm 20 years old. I've been slaying it for 15.
Yeah.
No, that sounds about right. Now, I saw somebody in chat asking, like, what do broadcasters for regular sports get? I don't exactly know the answer to that.
I don't think they travel a lot, right?
That is a good point. They don't travel as much. You think
and
about
be salaried when they go like the Olympics and shit like that.
Yeah. So I think about most American sports. You're staying in the States. You're traveling state to state. You're in stadiums, so it doesn't really matter that much. But I would imagine they have work visas whenever they travel to countries. I don't exactly know. However, I can tell you that there is a difference based on the salaries that they are paid and the backing of the companies behind them. If you work for ABC or NBC and you're out broadcasting the Olympics, that's such a huge scale event. Getting a visa for those,
call them up.
Yeah, getting a visa for those kind of people is not hard. Casting the World Cup or something, or international soccer, it's so high profile. There's so much money involved in that event, from concession sales, from ticket sales, from television ad sales, from all that shit. The country is on the pulse, and there is a system in place to make that happen. Esports is still small. There's not that much infrastructure. There aren't that many huge legitimate agencies that have that kind of pool that can just easily say, oh no, we trust these people, get it in, right? That has happened in other countries before, by the way. There have been times where someone can't go, they pull it out of an event, they need a broadcaster right away, they get a Russian visa overnight, literally just stamped, sent back. That's where you have a connection and they have that pipeline to just get somebody to stamp it overnight and send it back, right? That's not a normal channel. That's somebody with a special hookup. And that happens, right? That is, I've witnessed that happening before personally. So it's easier for those big companies to follow those traditional channels. I can also speak from the other side, right? As an American company wanting to hire an international contractor or person, if you're looking at W-2, that's where you need a work visa, right? And W-2 means you're an actual employee. You get a guaranteed paycheck. You're not a contractor. You're an actual, like you could say, I have a job. I am employed by this person. That's what W-2 means. If you're not a citizen, you absolutely need a work visa for that. And that's where it gets complicated. There's a limited amount of them. You have to pay money as a company to apply, and you're not guaranteed to get it approved. And if it doesn't get approved, you have to pay money again for the next application. It can take time. It's not guaranteed. It's competitive. It's this whole fucking thing, right? So that's not what's on the table here. Riot might be able to do some shit with that because they pay everybody's salaries, but Valve sure as fuck doesn't do that, and a lot of these tournament orgs sure as fuck aren't doing that. So I don't know what the hell normal broadcasters do, but I do know that they get paid more and they have a lot more pull. So it's just easier. They've got a system, Trent. We don't have a fucking system. You know when people say there's no esports infrastructure? This is exactly what they're talking about, man. This is the esports infrastructure we need.
We need to get bought out by some giant Alibaba or something like that. They can push anything through for us. Let's be Chinese contractors. It's just they got all that money.
Dude,
bring on the MOONDUCK.
Did you see that China banned pictures of Winnie the Pooh on social media because too many people were making memes of Winnie the Pooh looking like one of their presidents because he's fat?
No, I did not know that.
Well, Winnie the Pooh.
You know, he's from Winnipeg. You know that?
No.
That's why he's called Winnie. There used to be, well, I'm pretty sure I've ranted about all these commercials before, but in terms of the old school commercials that used to be on Canadian TV as a child, that was one of them. It was I think he was like a soldier or something like that, and there was a bear at the Winnipeg Zoo, and he was like showing it to his kid, and he was like, "That's Winnie, Winnie the Pooh."
I remember when I was younger, my favorite joke was, "Why is Tigger looking in the toilet to find poo?"
Oh,
that's the proper reaction, Trent. It still cracks me up though.
That was terrible.
I love that joke. It's so great. Fuck me. So I don't know. The Bulldog thing is fucked. It's a microcosm of a bigger problem that is very complicated. And I don't know, man. Like you said earlier, Trent, that one thread of people saying, Valve, we need a statement on this is absolutely
that made me laugh so
hysterical. That is a real knee slapper there.
Gold. Yeah. That's my favorite thread of all time on Reddit.
You ever see that bit?
It's got 138 more comments. It's up to 636.
You ever see that bit where Obama has his like angry translator and it's that guy from Key and Peele? That thread needs a version of that where it's like the actual translation. Hey, Valve, I know you up to some illegal shit, but I need you to tell me about it. You know, it needs like an honesty translator because that's exactly what it reads like. And the comments are like, this is unbelievable. It's like, of course they're not going to talk about it.
Tell us. Yes.
Of course. Like whether they
just put this in writing.
Whether they did something wrong or not, they're not going to fucking talk about it, dude. It's just, that's a ridiculous ask. It is just not happening, and it's
so
funny.
Great.
It is funny.
Gonna take a few more battle passes than what we got right now for us to get that statement, guys. Got to cover those legal fees. A lot of back taxes for the old Valve Corp.
Yep. It's definitely I don't know. I see why it's also harder for Bulldog because he used to be a player, and that's a different visa and a different situation than being talent. And it's sort of like JJ saying nobody really told him. You know, he probably didn't even realize he had the wrong visa, and that is part of the issue that we're talking about here is that it's complicated and not obvious, and there is no system or even remote resource in place where somebody like him would be able to easily know that. You know, I mean, obviously you can say, well, if he had just called the right people, they could have told him, but
it's so difficult to find
that's easy to say in hindsight. You know, when you're just like, hey, I've got my visa, it's worked every other time, I'm Bulldog, whatever.
And you just found out like 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah, you have no fucking idea. You know, it's really, you can't blame him at all. Well, okay, maybe a little bit, but it's definitely not majority his fault. And it's probably not majority Valve's fault either. You know, who knows what Valve even knew? Maybe they thought he had the right visa. Who the fuck knows, man? We have no idea where the breakdowns in communication were here. And maybe it was one of these situations where both sides just thought, hey, the other side's got it on lockdown. We're in the clear. They would tell me if something was wrong, right? And then they both just went for it, and that was it. And, you know, there isn't just one, you know, specific person. Fire that man! You know, not every situation has a person you can just throw into the rug like that. Or throw into the bus, rather, not the rug. The bus hurts a lot more.
Well, in terms of the actual event, which starts tomorrow, are you, I don't know, man. Are you going to be catching a lot of the group stages? Are you busy? Are you in?
No, I think I'm open tomorrow. I'm ready, dude. It's weird. This is the first TI in a while where I haven't been there for the group stage. Last time I went,
that's right.
I went really early, and it wasn't bad. It's just kind of weird because you don't have anything to do, and everyone's just hanging out working. But yeah, I'm excited to watch from home. You definitely get more of the viewer experience when you get to watch from home. You know, when you feel like you're at the event, you absorb a lot of the event and get a different perspective, but you get a value out of just watching the stream too. You get to really digest the content pieces, and you know, you get very distracted at the venue. Sometimes I get caught up talking to people and miss whole content pieces and have to go back and watch them at night. People come to, hey, did you see that? No, behind the scenes with No Tail's dad? I'm like, actually, I didn't. I was talking to this guy out on the lawn and completely missed it. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised people don't understand this. You guys are not gonna get a public response from Valve. It's not gonna happen because this is like, it's illegal and they're not idiots and there's no undue burden here. Like, I'm
not saying they're not gonna read it. I'm just saying they're not going to reply to it.
Yeah, they're not going to reply to you guys. Like, they're not going to just come up and be like, yes, we apologize that we are bringing in 20 talent every year who don't pay taxes, and then we don't officially hire them as contractors, and then we don't do this. Like, it's not. Like, they're not going to tell you guys anything. Like, I don't know. I find that really funny. Like,
no, it's okay.
These are the guys that only put out things in patch notes, and you guys are expecting them to, like, put a statement. Yes, it turns out we have been bringing in everyone all these years unknowingly.
I guarantee they are reading it. I guarantee they've read those threads. They know what's going on. I guarantee it. Maybe they'll make some changes. That's the best we can hope for.
Yes,
Maybe they'll make some changes.
I'm not saying they won't make changes.
Yeah,
I 100%
say they're not going to say
they might
anything.
actually fix shit. Yeah, I'm just saying you're not going to get a blog post. And man, I'd be happy if they did. I'll be the first to say it.
Yeah,
I can't see it happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude, I will be the first to eat my words on that one.
Happily.
But
well, you know,
bold
shit-eating grin over here. But
yeah.
Anyway.
But no, the whole thing is shitty. So I have a friend that I went to college with. This guy Seth King. He casts League of Legends. He lives in South Korea now. So he's like, I think he casts for OGN, right? That's the big studio or whatever it is. That's out there.
I saw him replying to your tweet.
He's pretty legit. Like, he's a few years younger than me. I graduated before him, but he's definitely a cool guy, and he's like a legit broadcaster now. I remember when he was just a streamer, and now he's been in South Korea for 2 years, maybe almost 3. It's been a while, and he was saying, like, I would rather just not get a gig and then whatever than have to lie or not have the proper visa. And I said to him, like, well, I totally respect and understand that, and I'm not saying you should have to. However, it's just not that cut and dry for young talent or people that feel like this could be my breakout event. You know, that DreamHack event, I was just thinking about the future of my career and how if I do well on this land, this could get me more lands in the future. Not, gee, I wonder if Sweden's gonna catch me with the wrong visa here. I didn't even think about it. Nobody even thought about telling me about it to think twice about it, right? My parents didn't even think about it. That's where I was kind of getting at. And even if you do think about it, you know, what do you do? Let's say this is your second LAN event ever. You're up-and-coming talent. Do you really turn down a gig because all the other talent have tourist visas and you're like, I don't know, man, I think they might catch me. You just give up that gig and someone else takes it. And Thorin was one of the people that actually chimed in and said, well, that's fine, but that's because you work in League where your stuff's centralized. You don't have to leave South Korea to get premium League of Legends content. In Dota or Counter-Strike or these other like tier 1 esports, you have to travel around to LAN events to get the big ones. So it's just not an easy decision to say, I'm never going to take an event where I won't get a work visa. You're going to be turning down a lot of events. And maybe that's the right choice for you, but it could cost you in terms of your talent career. And that's why it's a conundrum, man. That's why we're having this whole fucking conversation. What did you do, Trent? Are you fucking tearing it up?
Yeah, I don't know. I started something in chat apparently, but
nice.
It's just no, it's just
No, it's good. I understand.
I love you, Valve. Please, now that I've just blacklisted myself forever.
No, dude.
No,
I mean, who knows? Like I said, we don't know anything. Well, I know a little bit. I don't know anything about Valve or what they're doing. I just know it's shitty for Bulldog, and I honestly think that this could be what I described earlier, where both sides just thought it was fine, and that's it. And bummer. You know, I'm just pointing out this is a good springboard into a greater discussion of complexities, and I don't know what the answer is, Trent. I don't see an easy turnkey solution to this visa stuff, you know? Esports is weird. We have all these people from all of these countries that don't normally get along, that are all brought together by this digital game, and we don't give a shit about politics or anything else, and we're caught up in it, and it's just a weird, you know? I don't want to say it'll fix itself over time, but time will help. More visibility into esports and it being mainstream and people making money and all that kind of stuff. The more visibility it gets, the easier these conversations are, but it definitely needs more than that, you know? So who knows? Who knows, Trenty?
Who knows? In terms of the actual event that is coming up, are you feeling anyone? What do you got? You got your money on any horses here? What about Cloud9 second place? XD?
No, Trent, because I don't bet because I have.
That's true.
Morals.
I don't either.
However, if I were to bet, I don't know, man. I think OG is probably my front runner. I don't think EG will win. I think EG will make like top 4. I think Newbie will probably make a good run. Secret, who knows? But they've been. Is this finally Secret's time? My top 5. I'm gonna go. This is my order. Top 5. OG 1, Liquid 2, Newbie 3, EG 4, Secret 5, VP 6. That's my general order. I know I left out IG. I don't know. I'm honestly I'm so out of touch with the Chinese scene, but I think Newbie is going to do a much better run than IG.
I really hope so. I would like to see Newbie
but hey,
do well. That'd be exciting.
Hey, that's just
to me.
I
like that team.
So I don't know. I mean, I think those are all safe bets, right? I took a lot of heavy favorited teams there, but I look at the lineup of qualified teams and I think, okay, who's going to make a dark horse run to the top 4 that I wouldn't expect? Possibly Cloud9. Maybe one of these Filipino teams. This could be a big year for C. You never know. I don't have a lot of faith in Infamous or DC, to be perfectly honest. Nor in Hellraisers or Empire, especially with Chappie not being able to make it now. I really don't know anything about the qualified Chinese teams in terms of recently, like IG Vitality, LGD FY, and LGD regular. Who's looking the best out of those 3? I really couldn't tell you right now. I've not been watching Chinese Dota. So I think I'm biased towards EU right now, Trent, and I don't know why.
I think it's just because we watch more of it and cast more of it and see those teams more often. It's much harder. Like I'm super not as in touch with China as I used to be.
OG Liquid Newbie top 3. That's me.
OG Liquid Newbie. Yeah. Oh yeah. What are your thoughts on the new logo
of OG?
Of OG, yeah. What do you think?
I might be a biased source, but I don't mind it. I think it sucks that they had to leave a little bit of weird white behind the Red Bull to make it legible because it's kind of odd. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
I see why they did it. It looks kind of natural, right? But from a design perspective,
but now you point it out. Now I can't.
If they had asked me to design that,
Red Bull always look like that?
No, well, it's just not meant to be on a dark logo like that. So it's just kind of weird.
Oh, look, I'm looking at like other versions and they have like a white text outline, but it probably didn't like work as well with the.
Yeah. It's
that's
not
really
ideal.
Funny, actually.
It's not ideal. And so
terrible.
I've worked with Red Bull a little bit. And what's interesting is that Red Bull is one of these companies that very seldom do they like to have their logo presented like that on something. They are very much a company about authentic, what they call organic product placement. You notice like the Red Bull fridge, they want people drinking Red Bulls. They are the only company that has ever actually yelled at my production team for putting their logo as an overlay on a Dota game. Where they were like, do not overlay our logo. They are super serious about that shit. So I'm surprised that they did that. But it is great brand awareness. I will give them that. I think it's pretty cool. I think OG and Red Bull fit each other. Can I say that? I think they are a good sponsor and branding match. Sure.
And they obviously have been on kind of on the down low for like, I don't know, like a year. All their stuff was always posted like right on the Red Bull site and stuff. And they had all these interviews with them. So there's definitely been some sort of a relationship going for a really long time, like since Hitbox, right? I think most people have kind of noticed that kind of shit going on. So yeah, definitely agree. I think in terms of like all that Red Bull athlete shit and everything, I could totally see Fly doing that kind of crap. And like with his other teammates and stuff too. So yeah, I'm very much down to for that one continuing, and also with such a giant sponsor. I mean, is that I'm trying to think of other big mainstream sponsors. There really aren't any, right? In Dota.
Well, surely there are some. I should be able to rattle them off.
EG Monster, but in terms of like full out branding, when I look at it, like no one's branded that hard.
What you're talking about is like a title sponsorship.
Yeah, like this is.
And no,
wouldn't let me go to TI.
EG used to have a title sponsor, like Raid Call was a title sponsor of EG back in the StarCraft heydays. Who else? Was it MSI? Was it MSI Fnatic? That used to be a thing. That was like literally the name of the team, MSI Fnatic.
Yeah, I remember that.
So there have been a couple, but that has really fallen out of vogue. I think
we also have like G2A, blah blah blah. G2A is on like a bunch of the teams, but at least it's not like in their logo and shit.
But I think generally speaking, a lot of the orgs, like a big org like Cloud9, it's just not a value proposition for them, or at least not a good one. You have to give away so much of your pristine brand, putting like G2A Cloud9. They tried to do that, by the way.
Yeah.
I remember when G2A sponsored the summit, they told us that as part of our agreement, anytime we saw Cloud9, we had to refer to them as G2A Cloud9. Our casters, they're like, you have to call them G2A Cloud9 anytime you reference the team. You can't say C9 or Cloud9 anymore.
Yeah.
That's pretty hard to do, right? So sometimes it's a difficult thing to sell, and your audience hates it, and it's just not worth the money, man, unless it's a real serious. And Red Bull is a huge company, that's not going anywhere. They've been dedicated to esports for a long time. They've been dedicated to making unique experiences in esports. They have a product that the players probably like compared to other energy drinks. Like, Red Bull genuinely wants to do cool shit. It's the kind of sponsor that's going to take these guys skydiving. You know what I mean? No other sponsor really does that. So I understand why OG would be willing to give that level of prestige to a sponsor, because it's Red Bull, and I really do think it's a good fit. I think they're wise to be so tactful with sponsors and finally commit to a big boy like this that they can, give a lot of value to and get a lot of value from. These are me timbers and shit.
Yeah, I'm down. Hopefully that means that obviously the same players are comfortable playing with each other too. You keep that same core going. You can really get attached to a team. Although I have to say, I do feel actually pretty bad for all these people that bought swag and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For like people who like just bought NP swag, like, oh, we made our own company, and yeah, NP Dota, player owned, Cloud9.
I don't know, dude. I'm a little bit surprised. So I have absolutely no clue here. I would love the opportunity to pick Envy's brain about this, because from an totally outside perspective, it seemed like NP was doing pretty well. As a player-run org, like, they had some sponsorships. Obviously, they weren't having great results. They replaced some players. But as far as player-run orgs go, it seemed to be pretty smooth, and like Envy was doing a good job running the org. However, it could be that they wanted to move to Cloud9 not because he wasn't doing a good job, but because he didn't want to do that bullshit anymore. Because he tried it, said, okay, I proved that I can do it. It's tedious as fuck. I'm happy to hand that off to someone else, and I will go back to just focusing on being a player and a captain. I very much think that could be the case. That is pure conjecture. I have no idea.
Yeah, I would agree. Because it's the worst time of the year to do it.
Yeah.
Like, you made it to TI. You are... I guess I think we're assuming that for TI and stuff, like, no big orgs take cuts anymore. I mean, there might be some.
It really depends. I think some orgs do take cuts. Not a lot, though. Probably 10% or less. I
would say in terms of Cloud9, I highly doubt they are getting any % cut from the prize pool.
Yeah.
And if there is one, it's definitely not over like 3% or something. I highly doubt they're getting any.
Yeah.
Because there's no way, right? You just made the TI, your own org, you own it. There's no way you're going to give any of that 10% away or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what shocked me. Like, of all the times, like, this is where the big orgs come in for, like, Hellraisers, right? They just hopped on that team.
That's why I think there's got to be more to it. I think it's got to
be a lot of money coming from
Cloud9, or a lot of money. That's the other thing. Sometimes it's money that really talks. Who knows? I hope it works out, though, because you're right. It was a sacrifice for the NP guys. They were building a pretty serious and somewhat loyal brand. They were definitely selling jerseys. I have no idea what the sales numbers were like, but just looking at social media, I saw a lot of people that were talking about excitement to wear NP jerseys at the upcoming event. But also now, I mean, it's kind of a cool vintage thing in some ways. It's like it's an inadvertent limited edition,
Yeah, that's right.
Is that a positive spin on it?
I do love my vintage jerseys.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Like, there you go, guys. We're real sports now. You can get vintage jerseys. Just because Cal Clutterbuck's not going to play for the Wild again doesn't mean I don't love my jersey.
That's true. Well, buddy, I guess we're getting sort of closer to the tail end here, but any other Dota news that we need to talk about? I think that's kind of the big stuff.
I mean, it's all such TI. TI. It
is.
I guess we didn't talk about, like, the hosts and stuff.
No,
it's a pretty big deal.
Know. I feel like I don't have a lot to say about that.
All right, that's how I feel too. I mean, that's cool. Day 9, thumbs up. Right on.
I mean, obviously, I have opinions about talent invites, and there was a huge discussion when they came out, mostly on Twitter, about and Nahaz was kind of on the forefront of it, but like Do people deserve invites? Is there any level of like, hey man, you really grinded and improved a lot, you're invited to come? I think Valve has done that pretty much every year in terms of taking a chance on someone. Lyrical is the one this year, right? They're like, hey, this is a guy that has come a long way in the last year. He's really grinded a lot. He's went from small events to big events. He's proven himself a couple of times. Let's give him a shot, right? That could have been you this year, Trent, but they took Lyrical instead. But look at it last year, right? They gave Annie a shot, a first-timer. Year before that, they gave me a shot. They gave Base Kip a shot. They gave all these other people opportunities to try, you know, have a go at the big stage and see if they really stick with the audience. So in some ways, Valve has kept up with that trend, maybe not as much as some people would like. But I don't know. It's a tough conversation. I honestly think if there's one TLDR to that whole thing, it was AC that summed it up on that one Reddit thread. I think Gods tweeted it, and I might have retweeted it. Where he basically said, guys, there are no right or wrong answers here. I know there's one truth in this whole matter is that Valve is always going to make the decisions that are best for the show for an event of this caliber, and that's absolutely their prerogative. There are a lot of ways you can go about it, and we're all kind of along for the ride. That's it. Just count your blessings if you get invited, and if you don't, try to work harder and do what you can to get there next time, and that's pretty much the end of it, you know? Trying to have a discussion with these hard and fast, like, it should be like this. Well, this person deserved it, and this person doesn't. I can't believe this. And it's like, dude, you know, I get it. You don't see it. But just wait till you see the whole fucking show, you know? I don't know. Whatever. It's
I'm excited. I think it'll be good.
Yeah, it's me too. That's my TLDR. I'm pumped up. I like Day 9 a lot. I'll be honest, Day 9 was kind of my inspiration to become talent into esports. He was the first esports personality, talent, whatever, that I really idolized and looked at as kind of someone I could learn from and, you know, kind of mimic a little bit, at least at the beginning. I've actually never met Day 9 in person. I've been within an arm's length from him 3 or 4 times, and every single time I've pussied out, and I've said to myself internally, I want to wait until we're on at least somewhat equal footing and I can go up to him as a normal person and say, hey, Sean, it's nice to meet you. You know, I do X and X.
We're
you know,
so
you
close.
did a great job. You know, I didn't want to go up to him as a fan. I didn't want to brand myself as, oh, hey, Day 9, big fan. You know, I want to be like, hey, Day 9, Moonduck managing director here. So maybe this is my opportunity, man. Maybe this is the after party where I'll finally get to meet the one and only Sean Plott.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. That's a little sad, though. He is like the one esports person that I fan out about a little. It's embarrassing, dude. It makes me nervous just thinking about it. He's an icon, dude.
I think he'll do well. I'm looking forward to the panels and stuff to see how people do. Not gonna lie, I was super looking forward to see Bulldog on the panel because although I think a lot of people have reservations about him and for good reasons, because obviously he just does like a mostly comedy stream and stuff like that. I assume we would have gotten a very different Bulldog. Like, I know sometimes when you'd watch him, especially if he had like other people on the stream while they were watching games or like talking about it and stuff, he'll say some stuff. He'll just be like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. You know, you keep having that like getting that deeper look into the game. So I think he would have done very well. Even if, you know, it's just disappointing. He can't go, obviously.
Yep.
Rip.
But I mean, I also like Machine a lot. I think it's always going to be good. I'll be interested to see how so many pro players works out. You know, a lot of analysts now, like ex-pros, going to be on the desk. So hopefully that's cool. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I hope Slacks is utilized well. I don't know if he's going to be paneling or doing extra content or what, but I just hope the vibe isn't too ESPN. That is the one thing I really hope. It's just not too stiff, quote unquote. I hope it has some good comedy aspects and some Slacks vibe. It doesn't necessarily have to be Slacks, but, you know, panelists that can just break it up and be goofy and, you know, not just make it 4 dudes up there agreeing with each other.
Yeah, with it being like PGL or being PGL, I wonder if it's going to be a lot with like, because we have Shiver, Slacks, and Purian all going. So I don't know if like, in terms of panelists and stuff, I'm not sure if they're going to be doing like someone on the panel to like kind of ease it in, or are they going to do like Mischief at the major? Because at the major, it was very broken up, right?
Yeah. Well, isn't Tanya going too? So maybe they will do some Mischief.
And it is PGL, so exact same thing. So they might do like heavy analyst, break for comedy, heavy analyst, break for comedy. Whereas for the past couple of years, it's been more so like just this mix, right? You had like the I think the epitome would have been like the maybe like Cap, Purian, Merlini, something like that, or like the Cap, Purian, Charlie. Like that was kind of more on like the easier end, and then you get this like somewhere middle ground kind of a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this guy in chat is with it, dude. Trying to be ESPN when ESPN is bleeding subscribers. Lol.
Oh, like NBA Live?
Yeah, he's exactly fucking right, though. ESPN wants esports desperately. They are so hungry for our demographic. They are losing touch with young men, and they don't know how to get them back. They need us so much more than we need them. I think we have some stuff to learn from the ESPN style. Don't get me wrong. I don't want people to go out there and make fart jokes. But I think there's definitely room for some comedy and just to, break it up. We're still gamers at heart, man. We still need to let loose, be a little crazy, let a couple fucks out here and there. For real,
ding,
dude.
ding, ding, motherfucker.
Well, for real. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. I don't think it should be over the top. I think it should still be a family show. At the same time, I don't think it should be a G-rated show. I think it should still pay some homage to the core audience and have some stuff that rubs up against the line a little bit. We're young provocateurs after all, Trent, huh?
Is that what we are? Oh,
yeah.
Wow, look at us go.
Yep. Speaking of provocateurs, dude, can we talk about fucking Alex Jones to wrap up this podcast, please?
Oh, please.
Please.
We sure can, buddy.
So, all right, folks. First of all, if you don't know who Alex Jones is, I praise you. Well done. You've made it this far without figuring out who he is. He's the InfoWars guy. If you don't know what InfoWars is, just go to Infowars.com. It's like crazy alt news.
Just go to Infowars.com.
That has a striking...
Things you'll never hear Andrew say.
Dude, a striking amount of viewership, right? When you turn it on, you're like,
terrifying.
Okay, this is a joke, right? This is just some crazy right-wing bullshit or whatever. You think it's just some Madhouse shit. Their average viewership is like 6 million people or something. Dude, they have an insane amount of reach. Just go look at his Twitter. He's got like 600,000 followers. He tweets out dank memes about Hillary Clinton being a fucking reptile and fluoride turning all feminizing humanity and all this crazy shit. And people lap it up. And our good friend John Oliver, right, his show just came back on the air 2 days ago on Sunday after being off for the summer season. And they did a whole segment about Alex Jones because last season they blasted Alex Jones and he did a retort and all this stuff. And one truth that John Oliver identified that I've been saying for a long time is that he looks even crazier when you quote him out of context, because his whole thing is like he taps into that like Southern Baptist salesman church thing where he fucking channels it and he goes crazy and I feel it. I will not be stopped. And he just like pounds and he hits his chest and he goes crazy. He goes apeshit. So if you just take a little clip of him when he's really going crazy, he looks totally nuts. And he's mostly nuts, but occasionally he talks about something sort of interesting. The big thing he gets flamed for is that he claimed the Sandy Hook massacre was fake. Was not real. Now I thought he apologized for it. I thought he gave up on that.
I don't think he apologized. Didn't he like double? Wasn't it like a
It's not the best apology, but it's he kind of admitted like, all right, listen, I had some shit wrong. My bad. Your kid actually died. Sorry. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm giving Alex Jones too much credit. Either way, the whole core of the bit with John Oliver was talking about how Alex Jones uses these great salesman techniques and basically just talks about all this really scary stuff like fluoride in the water and like all the immigrants are coming and all the refugees are coming, so you need to arm yourself. You need this like refugee spray, and they sell a shitload of these supplements and like these wipes and all these other like weird survivalist products, and that's where most of their fucking money comes from. They claim it costs like $40 million a year to run the show, and 2/3 of that $40 million comes from selling like fluoride-free toothpaste so you can brush your teeth and not turn into a bitch.
He has water filters that turn off.
Yeah, dude.
They take out the fluoride.
Yeah, water filters
guys.
that take it out of your... So it's just like, it's a brilliant business model, dude. You hype up all these scare tactics. It's like saying, guys, global warming is going to happen fucking tomorrow. Radiation is coming in, and I've got a way to stop it. Buy this giant tarp, you put it over your house, and you're safe from the radiation. And then people just start buying the tarp because they want to be safe from radiation. That's exactly what he does. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
He appeals emotionally, too. He says, you guys like Moonduck, right? You guys enjoy the quality content, slacks and everything, but sometimes it's hard to keep the lights on. We struggle. We day in, day out. I'm making pasta downstairs. It's all we can eat. Cold beans for supper for Mott, but you guys can help us. If you'll see in the chat here, I have the store button. You know, you go there and you get yourself a nice hoodie. It's gonna help us and help you because this hoodie is filled with male vitality and it's gonna make you a superhuman. And I get really red. Like that's what he does. It's like this like begging emotional attachment that he tries to get to.
It's abusive
to keep the lights on.
Well, he also, the bit that I loved was that he was just like, we can only afford to keep the show going till the end of the month. It's going to be another 10 days.
I'm going to have to sell my car.
I'm going to mortgage my house to keep the show going, and we really need your support on this. And then they point, John Oliver points out, so he's got one Rolex here. He's got a different Rolex here, and then he explains the Rolexes. He makes this whole bit about, I wear a Rolex and the simple jacket and a cheap shirt so I can show people that an average man can wear a Rolex. I dress like a Satanist so that the Christians cannot penetrate me. And you're just like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? And like most of his audience believe it. 2/3 of the 6 million are just like, that's pretty legit actually. I'm gonna have to save up for a Rolex so the Christians cannot penetrate me. I need to get in on this. Like dude, it's an insane phenomenon. Like they call it alt news, but his viewership is like on par with some of the local news networks, like the shittier ones like CBS or whatever, for their nightly news. His viewership is on par with that. That is scary. It's scary.
I wonder how much of it is like a Colbert thing. Like, so obviously, like I loved Colbert when I was growing up, when it was on TV, and The Daily Show, great shows. Obviously, they're comedy and they're like further out in some areas, and there's like some mocking that's like, it's kind of like South Park, right? Mm-hmm. Where it like takes a little bit too far, but near the end it tries to bring it into like a real point to try and actually have some sort of a meaning for you, kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Like I wonder how much of his audience is actually like that, because it doesn't feel like that, but I wonder if that's just because I'm such an outsider that it's not like,
I don't know.
It's nowhere near any of my views. You know what I mean? Like, do you think there are a lot of moderate right-wing people that like watch it and like understand? Because he claims it's a personality, it's a performance. His wife obviously didn't in that custody battle thing.
Right.
But there has to be some performance going on here, right? I don't think it can't actually be this ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I think you're kind of right. And a few people have said in chat now, it's worth watching, even though it's hard. The Alex Jones, Joe Rogan podcast with Eddie Bravo, it's like 4.5 hours long.
Well, I was going to bring that up because his show is 4 hours long.
Yeah. Oh, it's ridiculous.
That was the thing that blew my mind. I did not know that until I watched the John Oliver segment.
Oh, yeah. No, I've actually watched some of it because it's ridiculous. It's sort of hard to watch, but they really tap that nerve of like intriguing. This is the undercover stuff the media doesn't want you to see. And they have reporters that go out in person and like interview people and do stuff, and then they edit it up to be all memey and all this kind of bullshit. Like they're very good at memes, right? They're very good at making zingy taglines that are kind of clickbaited and make you want to go, fuck. I kind of want to see how this person's fucking up my shit. I mean, I know it's a trap, and when I see it on my Twitter feed, I still kind of am tempted to click on it. So they're very good at tapping into that part of the human psyche, and that's kind of why it's so popular. It is there are a lot of overlaps between what he does and what those southern, really aggressive, like giant ministry churches do. Where they just talk real fast and say a whole bunch of
definitely what he feels
really emotional shit that doesn't really mean a whole lot, that just sounds real good. Like, Jesus came and he saved the people. Jesus came and he washed away your sins. And it's like, that doesn't actually mean anything. You're just kind of screaming about stuff that Jesus may or may not have done. It's just a giant pep rally. And people love that shit, dude. Humans love being pepped up. He taps into that, like, you feel like you're fighting against something. You're part of a team. Fuck whatever they don't like. Fuck the globalists. That's what they hate. The globalists.
That is what they hate. They do not like those globalists. I don't know.
It's unreal.
It's something.
It's unreal.
He's pretty funny. I mean, it's scary. I don't know.
Yeah.
Should I be scared? He scares me.
I highly recommend the Joe Rogan with Alex Jones, though, because he is definitely more of a real person than on the show. He is playing up a character, but it is not complete bullshit. I think he is an individual that has a desire to kind of break stuff. He's probably a true conspiracy theorist, and then it just gets amplified and played up, and they chase all these ridiculous political stories that don't really make any sense, that just make headlines. It's all about making money, man. The reason they're sucking Trump's dick, because Trump likes him. Trump went on his fucking show. Do you know how few shows Trump has gone on? It's worth it for Jones to just, even if he doesn't believe any of it, just pretend to toe the political line with Trump if Trump comes on his show once a year. It's worth it, and that's the kind of values that pop proposition we're talking about. I watch it as comedy. I watch it as like, people really believe this shit, huh? it gives you a lot of perspective on the current state of humanity. That's why I like it. But, I look at it as satire, though I know it isn't. I know it isn't. Yeah. It's real.
And if you
it's
don't
all
have
too
4
real.
hours. The John Oliver bit is also excellent, of course.
Yes,
if you haven't watched that yet. So highly recommend that there, too.
The thing that makes me sad about it, though, is so much of what he sells is snake oil. It gives a bad name to supplements as a whole, you know? Because, I mean, I don't believe that every single supplement out there is complete snake oil. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, that makes sense.
Like glucosamine, for example. That's a supplement that has great benefits for joints. Chondroitin, great supplement for joints, right? There are a lot of good supplements you can take, and a lot of them are bullshit, like, you know, the vitamin Bs and all this shit that are poorly made. You take it, you piss it all out immediately. It doesn't do jack shit. You know, it's all just marketing bullshit. I don't know what percentage of the supplements out there are bullshit, but people like him make people jaded to that whole idea of, you know, supplementing a diet with something that isn't just what you get in food, you know? I mean, that's part of Joe Rogan's thing. Like, Onnit he's a co-owner of Onnit, which sponsors the Joe Rogan podcast, right? When they sell a bunch of supplements and workout equipment. But it's like a good version of Alex Jones where they actually have data and science and like, hey, man, this is why this works. We have clinical studies to prove it. Alex Jones is more like, listen, you got to buy this body fuel because it'll keep you safe from the thetans.
Some of the parts are so funny.
You know, I know. It's so ridiculous. Like, especially some of the supplement shit where, like, what it does, like the armored wipes for your taint. It's like, what in the world? Like, what? God damn. So it's just a bummer, man. It makes me sad that, you know, I've got both my parents are veterinarians, as we've talked about, right? One of my parents is a holistic vet. So I've had my taste of that side of the holistic medical world. There's a lot of overlap with people that do it for animals and humans with acupuncture and chiropractic and Reiki and all this fucking energy spiritual bullshit. I would guess a lot of it is a bunch of hooey, but not all of it. I've also witnessed some pretty fucking amazing things, Trent. I've seen some dogs come in that can't walk. They get acupunctured and they fucking walk out. I can't explain that shit, dude.
I've seen it.
I've actually seen it. I can prove it. It's ridiculous. You know, you think there's no way these fucking needles are going to do anything. You guys are crazy. And the dog literally gets up and walks out, and you're like, I don't know how that dumbass dog would be faking it. I don't really believe it. Just saw us smiling, and then it just jumped up, you know? Some shit happened. Was it energy or I don't know. I'm just saying, man, it sucks that people like that, it's so polarizing. His fans are like diehard retards, and people that hate him just write off anything that Alex Jones touches. So it's kind of harsh.
Though. But I think that's how a lot of like right-wing people would feel about Jon Stewart and Colbert, though. Even though there is like some truth and stuff, like they go further out, but there's definitely a lot of like, you know, truth and actual appealing to changing society as a whole and like bettering and stuff like that a lot of them probably just throw out because they hate the idea of it being like leftist kind of a media, right?
Yeah,
I would think. I still think that obviously he's way further out, you know.
Yeah, a lot.
See, Jon Stewart, truth, LSU, our boy. See, he doesn't.
I mean, I like Jon Stewart a lot. I was never a huge Colbert fan. I found the shtick a little obnoxious.
Yeah, his was different because he was like faking hard, right? You know, stuff like that. I agree, and I'm not a big fan of him anymore either. Jon Stewart was like the epitome, and Colbert was like kind of this like, oh, Jon Stewart's like, oh, it's like Jon Stewart might leave sometime soon, so we'll have 2 shows, and then Jon was just gone.
Yeah, I feel like Jon Stewart was sometimes unfairly prosecuted by his audience when, you know, a lot of people accused him of hiding behind that. Well, I'm just a comedian, you know, and he never really said that. What he said was, I'm a comedian first, political activist second or third or whatever it is. So I think that it's sort of splitting hairs, but it's a big differentiation to make a blanket statement like, well, I'm just a comedian, so don't take what I say seriously. That's not what he's saying. It's just, it's meant to be funny first. That's the highest priority. But of course there's still a political message, and of course he still wants his voice heard, you know? It's good shit. I like Jon Stewart. I see why he quit though, man. That shit's a grind.
Dude, he looks like he's living the life now. He lives on some animal sanctuary or something like that, where they have all these different animals from various walks of life or whatever reason.
It's
and
in
they
Jersey.
Need a place to live. Is it?
Yep, I think so.
Dude, you should go say hi next time you go home.
Yeah, it's in North Jersey. But...
That'll be fine, right?
Yeah, sure. Hey, John. You know, funny story. My dad actually, Jon Stewart worked in the same department my dad worked in as an intern a long time ago.
Really?
He worked for the New Jersey state government.
Kind of funny.
Small world, dude.
Was it animal stuff?
No, I don't think Jon Stewart did animal stuff. They do. complicated. It's fucking.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right, well, Trent, that's pretty much it, man. What else? Do we have anything else? We're going to TI soon. I think that's really the big highlight. We got through all the big topics here. Moonduck store still alive and well. Moonduck.tv/store.
Dude, this is why Alex Jones makes money and you don't. Moonduck store.
Moonduck store. I do the soft sell, dude. You want to buy it? You want to?
We're not getting $45 million to fund this operation.
Yeah.
Of course, you also probably wouldn't lose a child custody battle. So, there's ups and downs based on how you go about things. How red you get when you sell things. But
yeah, the before and after pictures. This was me before the product. This was me after the product. It's like you look exactly the same. It looks like a really dank product there, Hawk.
Oh, best part, though, the coffee. Wake up, America. I mean, that is amazing. Someone nailed their marketing on that one. That was the best thing ever. 100%. Double thumbs up. Give me some Wake Up America coffee, please. Wake up, sheeple.
Wake up,
Wake up, America.
Yeah, it's good.
Good.
All right, Trent.
Good. Okay. I have to go back to the cottage. I came home. I gamed all yesterday, and after 10 days of... the only thing I did the whole time was play Golden Sun on my phone on an emulator. Which I appreciated after not playing in many years. Great combat system. But anyway, and now I'm going back to the cottage. And then no more video games again.
Really?
Bad. Yeah. I'll be back for some of the games tomorrow, I think. I'm not sure. I might wait until the second day to come back home and watch a bunch of games. But my dear wifey be on vacation, so I'm still trying to spend time with her. Yeah. She picks bad times to go on vacation, like when there's the, my Super Bowl is happening for 2 weeks. How dare she? But then I leave her for weeks, so, it balances out.
We're going to have a fucking blast at TI, though, dude. I'm so excited. Moxie's going to be there, by the way. We didn't mention this.
Oh, I heard.
She did a little fundraiser to get the ticket. She found a place to stay. She's fucking going, so we're going to be hanging out with Moxie. She'll probably be there with some of our talent. Game plan still to do the IRL stream. I've not bought the SIM cards yet. It's a little more complicated than I actually thought at first, but don't worry, buddy. I think we're still going to be able to do it. If not, fuck it. We'll just carry around a camera like most years and make some shit tier content like Mott staring at a mermaid. Remember that one? That was a great piece. It was one of my faves. All right, man. That's it. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you for enjoying the Zyori Podcast. You can find this on the Moonduck YouTube or on Zyori.tv/podcast. That's where the audio only will be cataloged. We're outie. Follow us on Twitter at TI. We got that Gleam still going. It's below the Twitch stream, I think. Maybe. Yes, no. Oh boy, that's it. I need to I need to go watch some Alex Jones and work on my salesmanship, Trent. I feel weak today. I feel weak.
Yeah, you should. What else is up today? Let me see where we're sending you guys. We got Dream League replays are going on.